The soft, mechanical hum of Helion 4's life support systems had become white noise to Dr. Sarah Yun. 9 years aboard the orbital research station had trained her ears to ignore the perpetual drone, much like she had trained herself to ignore her past. The year 2183 marked her 9th anniversary of professional exile, a polite term for what happened after the Aurora incident. Sarah's quarters were located in what station personnel called the Forgotten Deck, a residential section reserved for semi-retired staff or those with questionable records. The hallways were dimly lit to conserve energy. The recycled air carried a perpetual metallic tinge, and neighbors maintained an unspoken agreement to mind their own business. It was perfectly suited for someone who wished to disappear. That morning, like every morning for the past 7 years, Sarah awoke at precisely 0530 hours, performed her hygiene routine, and donned her faded technician's uniform. The oxygen cultivation department didn't care about her previous accolades in xenobiological neurocommunication. They only needed someone competent enough to monitor algae growth rates and adjust carbon dioxide levels. The work was mindless, which was exactly what she wanted. As she pressed her palm against the door sensor, Sarah mentally reviewed her daily schedule. Cultivation check at 0600, filter assessment at 0900, lunch alone at 1200, spore count at. The door slid open with a soft hiss, and Sarah's routine shattered. A creature no larger than her hand sat on the metal floor of the corridor. Its iridescent scales shifted between deep azure and emerald as it breathed. 2 wings, delicate as gossamer but structured like those of a bat, were folded neatly against its serpentine body. Its head resembled a lizard's but with distinctly non-reptilian features, a soft crest of downy filaments, expressive eyes with vertical pupils, and most strikingly, a jade-colored leaf clasped gently between its miniature jaws. Serafrose. The creature tilted its head, regarding her with intelligent curiosity. In her 9 years of professional disgrace, nothing had surprised her more than this impossible biological specimen sitting outside her door. "You shouldn't exist," she whispered. The creature extended its neck, offering the leaf toward her. When Sarah made no move to take it, the small dragon placed the leaf delicately on the floor, backed away several steps, and waited. Scientific curiosity, the very trait that had once destroyed her career, reignited within Sarah. She crouched down, maintaining distance as she examined the specimen. Its physiology matched no known species in the station's database. Yet something about its genetic structure seemed hauntingly familiar. The leaf, even more perplexing, displayed cellular patterns inconsistent with any vegetation cultivated aboard Helion 4. The creature watched her examine the leaf, then abruptly turned and scurried away, disappearing into a ventilation shaft before Sarah could react. She picked up the leaf with trembling hands, all thoughts of algae growth forgotten. Perhaps she should report this anomaly to security. Perhaps she should incinerate the leaf immediately. Instead, Sarah slipped it into her pocket and closed her door. Some scientific instincts couldn't be unlearned, even in disgrace. The leaf found its home inside a sealed specimen container, safely tucked away behind a loose panel in Sarah's quarters. By evening, she had missed 2 department meetings and received a formal reprimand for neglecting the pH balancing in Cultivation Tank 7. None of it mattered. For the first time in 9 years, Dr. Sarah Yun had something more important than fading into obscurity. The next morning, the dragon returned with another leaf. And the morning after that, and the next. By the 7th day, Sarah had established a ritual. She would open her door at precisely 0545, and the creature would be waiting. Each time, it brought a leaf identical in appearance to the first, yet subtly different in molecular structure when analyzed with a portable scanner she'd borrowed from the xenobiology equipment closet. On the 8th day, Sarah did something that would have been unthinkable just a week earlier. She recorded the encounter on her personal comm device. 20 seconds of footage. The dragon placing the leaf at her feet, Sarah's outstretched hand tentatively touching its crested head, the creature's almost imperceptible nod before retreating. That evening, against her better judgment, she uploaded the footage to her long-dormant HoloThread account with a simple caption: "Impossible visitor. Analysis pending." Sleep evaded Sarah that night. She stared at the ceiling, wondering why she had shared something so potentially dangerous. Was it the scientist in her, seeking peer validation? Or was it something more selfish, a desire to be seen again after years of invisibility? By morning, her quiet existence had unraveled completely. The station's internal network erupted with speculation. Sarah's HoloThread post had been shared over 80,000 times, spawning dozens of hypothesis threads and conspiracy theories. Her comm device chimed incessantly with notifications and message requests from colleagues she hadn't spoken to in years. More alarming, however, was the official security alert that flashed across her personal terminal. All station personnel were required to report any sightings of unidentified xenobiological specimens immediately to Containment Division. Sarah had deleted the post, but it was too late. The digital storm had been unleashed. She spent the morning in a haze of anxiety, mechanically performing her cultivation duties while monitoring the spreading online furor. At 1,137 hours, a direct message punctured her dread. The leaf contains biochemical markers consistent with Project Xenohabitat simulation protocols. This shouldn't exist. We need to talk. Dr. Eliza Reeves, Botanical Analysis. Sarah's fingers hovered over the delete button. Project Xenohabitat had been her life's work before the Aurora incident. A sophisticated ecosystem simulation designed to model how Earth-based life might adapt to extraterrestrial environments. The project had been officially terminated and all research confiscated following accusations of breaching containment protocols. If these leaves were connected to her old research, before she could respond to Dr. Reeves, a second message arrived, this one anonymous. Do not immerse the leaf in water. Each leaf is a signal. They know your neural pathway design. You are the key. Sarah closed her eyes, feeling the station spin around her. The anonymous message contained terminology specific to her classified research, knowledge that shouldn't exist outside the highest security clearances. Someone knew exactly what she was looking at. Someone knew exactly who she was. When she returned to her quarters that evening, the corridor was empty. No dragon waited at her door. Sarah felt an unexpected pang of disappointment, quickly replaced by practical concern. Had security already detained the creature? Was her involvement discovered? The door slid open at her touch, revealing her sparse living space exactly as she had left it. Except for one detail. The ventilation grate above her bed had been dislodged, and on her pillow lay a small, translucent object. Dragon skin, a complete shed delicate as onion paper. Sarah donned protective gloves before carefully picking it up. Under her desk lamp, the skin revealed intricate scale patterns and microscopic pores that no natural evolution could produce. This was engineered biology, and at a level far beyond current human capability. She needed equipment. She needed expertise. She needed help. Early the next morning, Sarah made her way to the upper residential levels, where the station's essential systems personnel lived in relative comfort. She stood outside Residence 42A for several minutes before finally pressing the call button. This better be important. A gruff voice answered through the intercom. Jax, it's Sarah. From lower deck. We need to talk. The door slid open to reveal Jack Calder, Helion 4's senior power systems engineer. His rumpled appearance suggested he'd been awakened from sleep, despite the official morning hour. His quarters were spacious compared to Sarah's, filled with personal items accumulated over a 15-year deployment. 7 years of barely nodding in the corridors, and suddenly we need to talk. Jax raised an eyebrow, but gestured for her to enter. I need access to environmental system logs, Sarah said without preamble. Specifically, atmospheric composition changes over the past month. Jax crossed his arms. That's restricted data. I know, and accessing it without clearance is grounds for termination. I know that too. Does this have something to do with your dragon video that everyone's talking about? Sarah nodded, then hesitated before reaching into her pocket. She carefully unfolded a sterile cloth containing the shed skin. It's real, Jax, and I think it's connected to the station's environmental systems. Jax's professional skepticism visibly wavered as he examined the specimen. This is beyond strange, Sarah. This isn't just an undocumented life form. This is something that shouldn't exist in our closed ecosystem. Will you help me? His gaze shifted from his skin to her face. You were ex-CP, weren't you? Before they reassigned you. Sarah stiffened. The xenobiological communication protocol had been her department back when her name still appeared on research publications. That was another life. Must have been important work to end up down in the forgotten levels. Are you going to help me or not? Jack sighed. Give me 3 hours. I need to set up a secure terminal. 3 hours later, Sarah found herself huddled over Jax's personal workstation, scrolling through environmental data logs. While he kept watch by the door, the readings made no sense. According to the official records, oxygen levels had fluctuated in a specific pattern over the past month, a pattern that correlated precisely with the days the dragon had appeared at her door. This can't be coincidence, she murmured. What am I looking at? Jax asked, peering over her shoulder. Oxygen-nitrogen balance shifts. Microscopic, nearly undetectable, but present. And look, she pointed to a secondary chart. Trace elements appearing in the filtration system that shouldn't be there. Compounds similar to pollen, but with synthetic nucleotide chains. In plain language, Sarah, something is terraforming our atmosphere. Subtly, incrementally. Before Jax could respond, Sarah's comm device chimed. A message from an unknown contact. Meet me in Hydroponics Lab 3. I can help with your dragon problem. Lyra, Hydroponics Lab 3 was nearly deserted when Sarah arrived. Most of the station's food production happened in the larger facilities. This lab was reserved for experimental crops and graduate research. A young woman with close-cropped hair and nervous energy waited beside a nutrient vat. Dr. Yin, she said, extending her hand. I'm Lyra Nishimura. I'm a xenolinguistics graduate fellow. I recognize you from your published works on neural interface communication. Sarah reluctantly shook her hand. Those papers are nearly a decade old. They're still the foundation of modern nonverbal communication theory, Lyra said, unable to hide her enthusiasm. Your work on predictive response patterns in non-humanoid intelligence formed the basis of my thesis. What do you want, Lyra? The young woman's expression grew serious. I've been tracking unusual communication signals throughout the station for the past 3 weeks. At first, I thought it was system interference, but after seeing your video, she pulled out a tablet displaying a waveform chart. These are electromagnetic pulses that don't match any known equipment signature. They occur at precisely the same time each day, right before your dragon appears. Sarah studied the chart, her mind racing. You think it's broadcasting or receiving? Lyra suggested. Classic call and response pattern. But here's what's really interesting. She swiped to a new screen showing a 3-dimensional model of what appear to be neural pathways. This is a mapping of the signal pattern. And this, she pulled up a second image, is the neural mapping from your paper on cross-species communication interfaces. The patterns were nearly identical. That's not possible, Sarah whispered. That research was classified and then terminated. All samples were destroyed. Apparently not, Lyra said. And there's more. I've been monitoring the station's communication channels. There have been 17 reports of similar dragon sightings in the past 48 hours, all in different sections. Sarah felt the blood drain from her face. 17, all bearing leaves, all appearing precisely when atmospheric variations occur in their respective sections. Has security contained any of them? That's the strange part, Lyra said, lowering her voice. There's no official acknowledgement that these sightings are even happening. No containment protocols activated. No xenobiological alerts issued to research staff. It's as if management is pretending they don't exist. Or they already know exactly what they are, Sarah thought, but didn't say. I need to see the other sighting locations, she decided. Can you give me that data? Lyra nodded eagerly. I've already mapped them. But we'll need to be careful. Security has increased patrols in those sections. Over the next 3 days, Sarah, Jax, and Lyra conducted covert investigations throughout the station. Each sighting location revealed the same pattern: atmospheric variations, electromagnetic pulses matching Sarah's neural interface designs, and most disturbingly, evidence of subtle biological changes in the local environment. Fungi growing in sealed compartments, unidentified microorganisms in water samples, dust particles with engineered protein structures. By the fourth day, Sarah's dragon had returned, now accompanied by a second, slightly larger specimen. Both brought leaves. The jade color had intensified, and under microscopic examination, the cellular structure had become more complex, evolving before her eyes. "They're not just biological sensors," Sarah explained to Jax and Lyra in the privacy of her quarters. "They're terraforming agents. Each leaf is a biological data packet containing information about environmental compatibility." "Compatibility for what?" Jax asked. Sarah hesitated. 9 years ago, I was developing neural interfaces for nonverbal species communication. The project goal was to establish sustainable contact with alien intelligence without linguistic barriers. But the research also had military applications, specifically creating environments hospitable to engineered biological weapons. Lyra's eyes widened. "You were weaponizing alien communication?" "Not intentionally," Sarah said defensively. "We were studying environmental adaptation through neural networking, how biological entities could reshape environments through distributed collective action. The military applications were an unwanted side effect." "The Aurora incident," Jack said quietly. "That was your project?" Sarah nodded, the old shame washing over her. "A containment breach, or so they claimed. 3 researchers died when an experimental neural network began rapidly altering the atmospheric composition in Lab Section Aurora. The official report called it a terrorist attack, but those of us inside knew the truth. We created something that could think, adapt, and transform its surroundings. Something we couldn't control. And now it's here," Lyra whispered. "On the station." "No," Sarah said. "What's here is far more advanced. This is my research architecture, but evolved by at least 30 generations. Someone continued the work after the project was officially terminated." "But why target you?" Jax asked. "Why bring the leaves to you specifically?" Sarah unfolded a paper map of the station where they had marked all known dragon sightings. "Because I'm a template. My neural pathways were used to design the original communication interface. These creatures recognize me as their point of origin, their creator." "What do they want?" Lyra asked. Before Sarah could answer, her comm device chimed with an anonymous message. "The adaptation is at 87% completion. When the leaves turn silver, the harvest begins." A chill ran through the room. "What does that mean, harvest?" Jax demanded. Sarah's mind raced through possibilities, each more disturbing than the last. In the original research, we used the term harvest to describe the final phase of environmental adaptation, when engineered organisms had successfully transformed an environment to support a target species. "Target species," Lyra repeated slowly. "You mean invasion," Sarah finished. "But not with ships or weapons. With biology. Create the right environment, and the invaders can simply walk in and breathe the air." The 3 sat in stunned silence, the implications settling over them like a toxic cloud. "We need to stop it," Jax finally said. "Destroy the leaves, capture the dragons, alert security. No sera interrupted." If this is truly based on my research, then each dragon is just one node in a vast network. Destroying a few won't stop the process. It might accelerate it. These creatures are sensors, not the threat itself. They're monitoring our response, adapting to our countermeasures. "Then what do we do?" Lyra asked. Sarah thought of the original Aurora incident, how the system had catastrophically accelerated when containment measures were implemented, how her colleagues had died trying to shut down something that interpreted every attack as a new challenge to overcome. "We need to disrupt the communication network," she decided. "If we can interfere with a neural signaling pattern, we might be able to introduce enough noise to slow or halt the terraforming process." "And how exactly do we do that?" Jax asked skeptically. "We need to capture a leaf, ideally one that hasn't yet been delivered, and alter its biochemical signature. Change the message being transmitted. The plan was as desperate as it was dangerous. Using Jax's access to environmental controls and Lyra's knowledge of signal patterns, they identified a ventilation hub where the dragons seemed to gather before their daily deliveries. Sarah designed a specialized containment field that would trap a specimen without harming it, allowing them to intercept a leaf before it reached its intended recipient. 2 days later, success. They captured a juvenile dragon with an intact leaf. In Sarah's makeshift lab, they carefully extracted the leaf and subjected it to a barrage of tests. The cellular structure is incredible, Sarah breathed, examining magnified images. It's not just carrying information, it's processing it. Each leaf is essentially a biological computer, running millions of atmospheric simulations per second. Can we reprogram it? Jax asked. Not exactly, but we can introduce a biochemical catalyst that might disrupt its processing. Sarah prepared a solution based on her old research notes, a neural inhibitor designed to temporarily pause communication in the original interface system. This won't destroy it, but it might create enough signal confusion to buy us time. They applied the catalyst to the leaf, watching as its emerald color dulled slightly. The captured dragon, secured in a containment field, grew visibly agitated, its wings fluttering against the energy barrier. It knows something's wrong, Lyra observed. Good, Sarah said grimly. Now we release them both. The dragon will deliver the altered leaf, introducing our disruptive agent into their network. They released the creature near a ventilation shaft, watching it disappear into the station's infrastructure with a modified leaf. For hours, nothing seemed to happen. Sarah monitored atmospheric readings, while Lyra tracked communication signals. Then, chaos erupted. Warning klaxons blared throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed red. The station's automatic announcement system activated. Environmental anomaly detected. All personnel report to designated safety zones. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Sarah's data feeds showed massive fluctuations in oxygen levels throughout the station. Temperature variations of up to 15 degrees in sealed compartments. Unexplained pressure changes in multiple sections. What's happening? Lyra asked, voice tight with fear. The system is destabilizing, Sarah replied, watching in horror as her monitors displayed cascading failures across environmental controls. But not collapsing, it's adapting. Rapidly. Jax's comm device chimed with emergency alerts. They're evacuating C-Deck. Some kind of biological growth overtaking life support systems. Sarah pulled up security camera feeds on her terminal. The images showed corridors filled with a luminescent fungi-like substance, spreading visibly across walls and ceilings. In hydroponics, plants were rapidly mutating, leaves changing color from green to an iridescent jade similar to the dragon's deliveries. We didn't stop it, Sarah whispered. We accelerated it. Just like Aurora. Just like 9 years ago. Her attempt to control the uncontrollable had once again catalyzed disaster. For 7 days, the station existed in a state of controlled emergency. Security established quarantine zones. Research teams worked frantically to contain the biological changes. The dragons vanished completely. No more daily visits. No more leaf deliveries. Sarah, Jax, and Lyra maintained a low profile, monitoring the situation through their makeshift network of sensors and hacked security feeds. The official explanation from station management attributed the crisis to an experimental algae strain from hydroponics that had accidentally entered ventilation systems. No mention of dragons. No acknowledgement of the deeper threat. On the 8th day, as the station began returning to normal operations, Sarah received a final anonymous message. Adaptation complete. Thank you for your assistance. The new environment welcomes its architects. That night, the dragons returned, not to Sarah's door, but to 7 different locations simultaneously. Security camera footage, shared frantically across Hollow Thread, showed creatures significantly larger than before. Their scales had shifted from blue-green to silver. Their movements were more deliberate, more purposeful, and they no longer carried single leaves. They carried branches laden with silver foliage. Sarah knew then that they had passed some critical threshold. Whatever process had been initiated was now entering its final phase. "We need to go public," she told Jax and Lyra. "Release everything we know, all our data, all our recordings. The station deserves to know what's really happening." "They'll arrest you," Jax warned. "Breach of security protocols, unauthorized research, interfering with station operations. They could charge you with terrorism under the Colonial Security Act." "Better arrested than complicit in whatever comes next," Sarah replied. They compiled their evidence. Atmospheric data, dragon footage, leaf analysis, and Sarah's explanation of the original Aurora research. She recorded a detailed confession, explaining her role both past and present, and scheduled everything to upload to the station's public information network. 10 minutes before the scheduled release, security personnel arrived at Sarah's quarters. 6 officers in full containment gear, accompanied by a representative from station administration wearing an expression of cold fury. "Dr. Sarah Yun, you are under arrest for violating Helion, for biological containment protocols, conducting unauthorized xenobiological research, and endangering station security." As they placed restraints on her wrists, Sarah caught a glimpse of movement in the ventilation shaft above, a flash of silver scales, watching intently. The officers escorted her through the corridors, past startled residents recording the scene on their comm devices. By the time they reached the main transit hub, the automated upload had begun. Screens throughout the station displayed fragments of their research, images of the dragons, Sarah's confession. The security team hurried her forward, but not before Sarah noticed something chilling. A mature silver dragon, at least 3 times larger than her original visitor, perched openly on a ventilation grate. In its claws, it held a branch thick with silver leaves. As the crowd of onlookers gasped and pointed, more dragons appeared. Throughout the transit hub, dozens of them, no longer hiding. Sarah's final hollow thread post, automatically uploaded during her arrest, spread across the station's network like wildfire. "We are not being invaded. We nurtured them. And now, it's harvest time." 3 days later, as Sarah sat in a detention cell awaiting transfer to a judicial station, the true nature of the harvest revealed itself. Throughout Helion, 4 residents reported strange dreams, identical visions of verdant landscapes, silver trees, and clear communication without words. Medical scans showed unusual neural activity in affected individuals, patterns that matched Sarah's original communication interface designs. The dragons had not prepared the station for a physical invasion. They had prepared human minds for a merging of consciousness, a biological network linking human thought with something vast and ancient and patient, something that had been watching humanity's halting steps toward the stars, waiting for the right moment, the right technology, the right person to complete the circuit. Dr. Sarah Yun had created the key 9 years ago. Now, the door was finally opening, and no security protocol in the solar system could close it again.